When people get physical, it's because they aren't good enough to use their mouth and emotions to solve whatever is in their way.
Mm.
Maybe the pattern has an underlying belief.
Mm.
And it's not that. It's that love and punishment are the same thing.
I experienced the Eastern culture and the Western culture, knowing from inside. And, I think there's so many similarities because it comes from the same system of tyranny. The tyrants are they don't care what people feel. It's the same tyranny whether you live in the east or the west. The people supposed to serve you, they are using their power for the wrong gain, for the wrong reason.
Well, there's a whole mantra behind that says that you're being punished for your own good.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can punish your children in the future.
That is where my pattern of love, punishment, and lies began. The lies didn't start young, they came later in the marriage. They came later in the marriage that built a pattern in the marriage that I'm now dealing with, confronting, and moving through. So the love and punishment was the foundation, and the reaction to it was simple lies that became a pattern that I've had to work through. And in that work through, it wasn't one that I could work through alone, even though it was my pattern. And at times, people play the roles with their patterns.
Mm-hmm.
And they just keep on playing, cementing in, getting deeper the more we play them. And sometimes that just isn't in the direction we want to go anymore. And intentions, we will try to break and get out of it. And I could say it's been 18 days this go around. And I can also go back to 3 years now. And then I can go all the way back to the beginning, which is where the love and punishment started for me. Those that loved me punished me when I did something wrong. And so what is a child trying to do? Be right. Be good.
Not get caught.
Yes.
Yeah, that comes later.
Yeah. That is a big one. Thank you. Thank you. That is a big one. Or, yeah, it's not get caught.
Not get caught.
It.
Yeah, so that you don't get punished, because what you want is to be loved.
then we start avoiding each other, and the silence comes in when we actually should be talking about it.
Yeah. That's exactly it.
So I'm not the only one with this pattern.
No.
I think that's
No,
universal.
it's not your pattern.
That's a universal one, that one. Because the ego don't want to be wrong,
Exactly.
Yeah, but I think it's more than just the ego. And that's why this is such a difficult pattern to deal with. Because it's also the nervous system. And the nervous system isn't just the ego.
So let me give a little background to my love and punishment and lies. Because mine has to do with drinking, with alcohol. Another deep ingrained pattern that I've started when I was 16. Off and on. Well, not off and on. It was a good time. It was where I could be, quote, happy.
As long as it lasts.
So I thought, a pattern, just a pattern. A pattern, there is no logic to our patterns. We have to understand that. So love and punishment, there's no logic to it. It's just the experience that a young child makes up of how their reality is. It's not like in the punishment for me, like how I experienced punishment in love, because my family was a Christian family, and if when I did something, the discipline was a spanking, and oh, there it is.
But it could affect us differently, when you can see in the same family, in the same sibling group, there's one who maybe commits suicide or something like that, who can't stand it.
Yes.
While the other one will be successful and,
Yeah.
That is, when we grew up as a child with a lot of emptiness, not nurturing we try to fill this emptiness later on with some other things. Justifying, hurting ourselves.
Did you ever learn self-nurturing?
No.
I don't think you can.
Survival.
You can't learn self-nurturing if you don't have another to facilitate that.
Right. That's kind of my point. But instead we learn love and punishment.
Yeah. And in that love and punishment, you presume that you are inherently bad.
Yep.
And there's another part of you that knows that you're not. Yep. So you go and look for where or what facilitates you not feeling bad. Takes a long time to ameliorate the fear, the self-blame, feeling that you're inherently rotten.
Yeah, and I think in addition to that, we try to build a logic around that. We try to make sense of it.
Yes, and a place we try to make sense of it are these unwritten rules.
Mm.
Right? These rules that are already established that a child has no idea about.
Mm.
And my tendency is to break rules. And love and punishment played out with my brother. Paid out in my cousins and us.
Mm.
So that was my moment to notice that. But from punishment for me was spanking. Yeah, it's a discipline was by my father for the most part. So there's my masculinity, my masculine pattern entangled. So it was those that loved me the most, those who I loved the most, was those that would punish me as well. No logic in that at all.
Mm-mm.
Our patterns don't have logic. They are emotions. Therefore, our emotions are not logical.
But they do have their own logic.
They have their own logic that that becomes very difficult to see.
Yes. And they're difficult to see because there's so many different layers.
Yep. The punishment is the key. The punishment is the anchor point, meaning that it didn't always have to be people that loved us that punished us just because we didn't have the relationship yet. The punishment was the event, the circumstance that we entangled all of these things in. When you think of it as a child, we get our sphere of influence, those that can influence us, that sphere expands the older we get. But that punishment, that a feeling of punishment and that feeling of love are the foundations. It can be the foundations. It all depends on the pattern, the unique experience of the child, and I'm speaking towards mine. So that, and hopefully, you may discover yours. And if you have, I honor the work, the sacrifices, the pain that you had to go through to do it. Because I know now. Because it is reliving that again and choosing to see it differently.
And choosing to experience yourself differently.
Yeah.
Ooh.
By the age of 6, I decided that emotions, feeling things was not a good idea. Was not how I was going to take on the world. Was not going to get me where I wanted to go. And so I shoved them down, and anytime it would try to come up, come out, impact, I would put it right back away. Then I think I discovered mathematics, the pattern of math. And there's no emotion in math, so I felt comfortable there.
Uh,
And at the age of 44, 4 days before my 44th birthday, October 1st, 2020, 4 months after with a process that we know is a recode, opened that locked emotions, that opened up those emotions, and I felt for the first time, felt love coming into me, like over me, through me, and soaking into my whole past. It's like a color. The color of love was filling in all of my old experiences.
Wow.
Mm.
And it was the love, the emotion, the love of that child up until the age of 6. It's like, wow. I felt it. I could feel. And it was about loving myself.
Home, sweet home.
can you describe for us, Jesse, how that felt?
So I imagine my memories, my experiences, my past as grains of sand, but they were really bubbles that were empty. And as this amazing white lubricant was able to go around them, coat them, and fill them, so that whatever was made up, felt, experienced, I knew that love could be there with it, that they could come together. It wasn't just one side, but it was both together. It was a warm feeling. It was like flowing through me, but it was slow. It was like permeating. And it was for a few, it was 5-10 minutes that I just looked up at the sky and saw the clouds painting a picture for me. Just like any other day. But for me, October 1st, 2020, I could say I allowed love into my life again. And that I could love myself.
Yeah.
And then when I can love myself, then I can begin to love others. And I say begin because we're talking about 3 years later.
Mm.
Because that love and punishment pattern was still existing and I happened to be married.
Mm.
So I want to pause there and I welcome some support, some anchors, some
It's like,
two beings that helped me, that took me to the beginning of time so that I could see love. My golden nuggets, Annette and Mona with Allison. Welcome.
Mm.
Good
It was really
morning.
valuable to share that. Thank you, Jesse.
Morning, Annette. Good
thank you,
morning.
Jesse.
Not done. Not done yet.
Good
Morning,
morning, Annette.
Nettie and
Good morning,
Mona.
Ben. Yeah, it's like, Jesse, the longest path is the path from the mind to the heart. Yeah.
Mm.
So a lot of people, go through the whole life without getting there,
Yes.
but you did it.
And mm, I did it in this. Yeah, thank you. It is. Yeah. Everyone can do it.
Yep. Yeah, we were never taught to do it.
No. We just do the same thing. And that just makes the pattern stronger, grows it, divides it. Usually it's a division pattern. Mine is, was, is. So love and punishment. So of course I leave home. So mom and dad love and punishment. They no longer can do that. You're right. I mean, you get older, they don't. They let go of the punishment and go find my own way, and then society can punish, right? But I didn't love society. And then I get married. The greatest woman there ever was.
Mm.
Powerful. Oh. Big heart. Oh. When she looks at me a certain way. Yes. I hope I give her the look back. And she happened to find me. Like, we would drink and have fun together. She was a party girl like me. And serious, like enough that we'd work. We'd party when we got married. Drinking, yeah, just that pattern. That continued all through college. Continued here through my career. That was, again, my escape to have fun. Of course, that friend of ours, alcohol, doesn't always stick around for the, well, is always there for the good times, but it usually causes the bad times. And so things are going really good. And the drinking picks up, gets heavier. That's where I can have fun. Children come, right? Children, my own business, doing everything that I like. Here it is, right? The easy street and hard street. Oh, making money, that was easy. Being a dad, oh, that was great. But I could also be drunk, because that was good too. That began to divide and drive a division in our marriage. As I would leave work and go with my business partner, and we would have the greatest ideas over several cocktails. The wife was at home with the 2 kids. I was at the bar all day long. No idea what it would have to go through to be home with 2 kids. And no idea what it was like to be at work, because we wouldn't talk about it. We wouldn't share it. We wouldn't, or I wouldn't create the space for it. Until it became a problem. And how it became a problem was anger, not communication, not talk, or it was, and I just wouldn't listen. I'm not going to stop my pattern. And it came into starting, so the rules start to come in, and it wasn't like I was, most days I was home by 5. Pushed it, it was 6:30. I if I really was in trouble at 6:30, really in trouble, really punished was at 6:30. Then I'd start getting the nagging phone calls, the texts. When are you going to be home? And here's where the lie started. One more. Because sometimes it would be 3 more. And I'd come home and then the lie would continue. It's like, well, how many? I just had 1, maybe 2. Simple white little lies. Remember I said she's a very powerful woman, building a volcano of anger. Do I love her? Do I honor all that she has done? Yes. Love and punishment. Love and punishment. So the punishment. Anger, withdrawal. That was our marriage. Right. And then it was like, all right, you're right. I need to be here. I need to be dad. And Dad doesn't include that. 5 years ago, it's like, okay, much longer than that, where I started to really cut, I don't know, let's see, stop drinking. And it wasn't stop, but it was slow down. Do it at home. Yeah. Not all the time. So big changes from my perspective. It got to a point where it was no more. So a rule was set, no more. Right? She was to her end of me in my drinking pattern, my lying pattern. Fine. I'll comply. So love and punishment, alcohol and lies.
Wow. Thanks
For
for sharing,
me,
Jason.
yes, to preserve a family, to be a trusted spouse, so that I, her, and we can have a deeply connected, intimate relationship. That is what's possible on the other side. I saw when I broke through my love and punishment that was caused by lies, just by the simple, oh, one more. My automatic response without even thinking about it. So the integrated pattern, love and punishment. How did I so I thought drinking one more time would be the end of it, right? I mean, that was kind of the agreement that I said I would do, the rule that I said I would follow. And Heinz, you said it earlier. It's like, what do people with rules want to do? Well, what I want to do is I want to break them. And love and punishment, it's always hiding it, right? Hide it. Like it becomes a thrill. Hide it. Well, that's what I did. Until one time I couldn't hide it very well. And I get asked, have you been drinking? Who divorce is there if I say yes? No. Did I think in that moment to say that? No. Why? Because of my pattern. She's going to be mad at me. I'm going to get punished. The blood rushes out of my head into my gut for survival to avoid the punishment. And my mouth just opens up with the obvious word no. No even thought that, it's just so automatic. There's the lie pattern again. I'm going to be in trouble. Still, well, I knew that this was a pattern, but it is a pattern that doesn't play very often, right? So I first noticed this pattern in February of last year. So we're almost a year on it. I noticed it. It was like, oh, look at that punishment pattern. Look at that line. That's where it comes from. I get backed into a corner. I feel like I'm going to get caught. And so I got to lie to get my way out of it. It's like, wow, what a interesting, horrible pattern. I can't get ahead of it. It has me. And it's only played out 2 times this year. So it doesn't happen very often. How the hell are you supposed to break that? That doesn't happen very often. Avoid the punishment. I mean, that's the obvious answer. But my soul needs to break free of it. Yeah, I need to get rid of that pattern. I need to see it. I need to go through it so that I can let it go and change it. And other people expect that it's once you do it, once you see it one time, like it's reprogrammed, right? It's done. It's like I expect you to do better automatically. Like right now, you got to do a whole lot better. Like you got to be perfect now. Like just snap your fingers and let me know if it happens to you, because then I'm doing it wrong. Start to see it. It's like, oh, that lie. And so that lie contributes to everything that I do. Now I'm a liar. I'm this, I'm that. And it's like I'm not. Like just that drinking curse, that is my automatic pattern. All right. I don't like that. But it also doesn't come up very often. Oh, it's not supposed to ever come up again. Oh, how the hell am I supposed to deal with? How am I supposed to get rid of it if it's never going to happen again? Well, by God, I'll make sure it happens again, right? So the next morning I got asked, were you drinking? No. See the pattern again. Even obvious is logical as hell, right? The best, like it makes no sense at all. 5 seconds go back and I say yes. I'm still standing there. I said yes. She knew it, right? She knew it. All right, here comes the punishment. Here comes the support. Here comes working through the pattern. Here comes all the punishment. And when that punishment comes, there was my patterns that I would normally do from the previous times. All the other times, it was an obvious pattern of what I would do. My support group, people here, helped me stand ground and say, don't go to those patterns again. It's time for a new one. It's time for something different. And that's where we were working tension, being in the tension, allowing the tension. Oh, it's not comfortable. It's not good. I want to go do this. I want to make up for that. All old patterns, because those are familiar, they're comfortable. And from the point of view, they worked. But for the long term, they didn't. Pain and hurt, betrayal, loneliness, isolation, separation, all in a marriage. Maybe, maybe not married going forward. I hope so. But this damn pattern, my fucking pattern is in the way. My lying pattern is in the way. My drinking a couple of times, sorry, a couple of times, yes. 3 times, Doesn't matter. 2 were hidden. One was punished. All of them are punished now. All are free now. So I'm speaking with my counselor, and he's pointing out the lies to me. It says, all right. He says, well, all right. Well, the next time, it's like just shoot it straight. Shoot it straight. It's like, oh, and I'm sitting with him. He's going like, first of all, the next time, my pattern is next time it's going to happen in 120 to 200 days, right? It's like, I know that I can not drink for that long. It's like, but I don't want this drinking pattern anymore. Like, I want to identify this thing. I want to replace it. I want to remove it. And I want to put a trusting spouse in there. I said, I can get like, without that one, I can do it. But I can't, it's like, Jesus, how am I going to? Well, so out of the blue, not out of the blue, but part of the conversation, the question comes up again. And it's like a fair question where she wants to know how often am I? Like like her perspective is anytime I drink, it's as if I'm still doing it from our early marriage, meaning I'm every night I'm out, it's like a big deal. And I honor that it is. That is the pattern. So in her mind, it is every day, all day. That's all I'm doing. And of course, protecting the children, right? Oh, driving around drunk with the kids. Never. I said 3 times. Not with the kids. I mean, that's at home. I don't have anything to do. Safe. Not the safest, but safe. And so right in that moment, she asked me, well, how often, how, like this and that, and in an angry voice, like angry, frustrated, hurt. My spouse who I love is hurting. Just once, just that time. And I watched it. This time I was present in the lie. I was present. I was in the moment, watching the lie take place. I caught it. I didn't get ahead of it. I caught it. I felt what happened. I felt the blood rush out of my head and into my guts, right? To defend, to protect. And my mouth, just as all that blood ran out of that, my mouth opened up and said just the one time, oh, you liar, you lie. Oh, how do I get out of that? Oh, you're going to get punished if you say this, just let it go. But, oh, it's time to go. Like there was no space. I had to go. We had to leave. It was time for flag football practice, but there wasn't enough time to explain it either. Because, oh, yeah, God, did that eat me for the next 16 hours to brings us to yesterday. Where I faced it, confronted it, laid it out there. This was my pattern. I lied. This is the truth. And I can take and will take what I thought is punishment because it's no longer my punishment, because there is no longer love and punishment entangled. I can be free of that pattern. I can let that pattern go. I can then put a new one in it. And so I woke up with this morning with look at that love and punishment pattern. I got ahead of it. I changed it. I went through it. And our marriage has space to be deeply, intimately connected, and I can be a trusted spouse. I can be free of drinking. I can be free of lying.
Last time sounds like it was a reaction. Just like if you have people who are runners who are waiting for the gun to go off and you say the gun has to fire twice before you run. I bet everyone would run on the first pang instantly, even if you told them 100 times before the run. Remember, it's the second pang that makes you go. Well, they'll still go at the first reaction, but you caught yourself afterward. Oh my God, I should have waited for the second one. But we don't want to look stupid to ourselves, and we don't want to look stupid in our spouse eyes. And oh, how do I explain that? But you caught the pattern, and then you confronted the pattern. I think everybody wants that miracle pill. Just take one and you're done with it. Well, the world don't work that way. It's rewriting old patterns, rewriting old habits, rewriting everything. It takes time. And then it takes
So,
guts to confront it later.
So I have a question then. Okay, you said free of drinking and free of lying, which are symptoms. What about love and punishment?
hmm.
Hmm.
That connection between the two. And so for me, what that was with the help of support, was to go back from the child and see that. To see that, oh, look, my dad loves me and my dad punishes me. So for me, to break that pattern, how that showed up. So it's like, yes, Craig, I see it, right? That love and punishment doesn't have to go together in my pattern any longer. That is the part of breaking those other ones. So I think that the best that I saw was like, oh, look at me. I could walk through the punishment. I could walk through the punishment with peace, which meant I had to confront yesterday something that was eating on me and say, no, look, I lied. I did two other times. This is what they were, and I will face and dance with the punishment because it's no longer punishment. My pattern is broken free of. I'm broke through it. And as we can put down that punishment and bring it in with compassion and love. So that pattern, I don't know, right? I don't know, but I believe the beginning of the love and punishment from my perspective is no longer tied at the core.
Hmm.
Now that is entangled with someone else. So it's as if it's just because I released it or am releasing it, or like we're in the moment. I don't know what the future means. I can just say now this time is different.
Yeah, it's in process, right?
Yes. I
Working
can
through
see I can see how they've been entangled as love and punishment. I can see how it's entangled with it. And now that I've seen it move through it, it's like now it's the place to build new patterns in its place. That's where choice matters.
and like you said, you went back to when you were young with your parents. So you went back to the core of the start of the problem.
Yep.
That's where the change happens. It doesn't happen if you just want to change this right now and don't figure out what the core of the problem is.
That's right. It goes back
So
to that
then-
first moment. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So then what do you want to replace that pattern with?
A deep, intimate, trusting marriage, relationship, connection with my wife, with my family, a dad, a husband, a son, a brother, a friend, oozing, releasing, spreading, being joy, love, and passion. That's my new pattern, my new choice.
And that's beauty.
Yeah.
And that is beauty.
What would that feel like?
Open space. Space to be new, to be allowing, to be forgiving, to be together, aligned, free to speak, free to bring forth, to share, to to bring things into existence. Because in the past, there was fear of judgment, punishment, the old patterns that were playing with it, that didn't create the space for it. So it was divided rather than together. So that's the space to be together. That's what it feels like.
You're not only being truthful to her, you're also being truthful to yourself.
Yeah.
Well, I think it has to go to yourself first, right? And then that makes space for the other. So there was something else, two other things that came up for me in your talking, Becky. Thank you so much for saying that. So the one emotion that came up for me was how tightly interwoven fear and shame can be. And then for the breakthrough to happen, what I heard without you speaking to it was that you got to the point where you could look at the other side of your fear of the punishment, and you could see what it might be that she was experiencing. And you hinted at it, but you didn't speak to your capacity to do that. And I just want to acknowledge that. Because I think that is what brings us all through when we really get to see the other side of our own fear. That's when we really begin to see what it is that the other person is going through in their response to our patterns. And so often we see the very same thing that they're struggling with, that we've been struggling with.
Broadening your horizon and widening your perspective. Like, I need to be more of service to my family. Like you said, need to be a dad, need to be responsible, need to love the woman who loves me fully. It's a wider perspective, new perspective.
Mm.
Instead of
Because
hey, I gotta protect myself.
exactly.
It's that together, you said.
Yeah.
That's the word.
Yeah. You know, and for me, I'll just say this. First of all, there are different ways in which one can leave a marriage. And secondly, there are different ways in which one can preserve love even though the form in which the love was there before changes. In other words, you can preserve love by leaving a marriage. And I know that sounds absolutely insane, but when you really think about it,
Yeah, I agree with you, Allison.
when we really honor love, you know, when we can really be fully present with it, we really honor life. And when we do that, they are the vibration that we match is powerful beyond anything that we could ever imagine. And that is being of service to life. And for me, that's what I find so remarkable about what you've shared today. It was about your wanting to break that pattern. And knowing that the best way to do that is to do it within yourself and to recognize where it was. You know, now often I find, well, I have found for myself that like the resulting behavior of your pattern was an obvious, I don't know how to put this, I don't know what word to use, I'm sorry. It's kind of very obvious, right? It borders on a chemical addiction. So it's easy to identify. But our most fundamental patterns are often really difficult to see. Really, really difficult to see. It's much easier for us to see it in other people. And I think what I get so much from the way in which you have, for instance, chosen to develop the group is that we go more and more into the depths of our own experience and that we look inside. And in our sharing, we reflect for others and others reflect for us. And the intention and the direction has always been compassion. And using the field to amplify that. And quite honestly, I don't think there's anything more important. Certainly not for me, there's nothing more important than that.
Talking about it and bring it into awareness, you bring it from your subconscious into your consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So you can actually work better with it.
Mm-hmm.
You can catch it when it's starting to go back to the old pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I too, I received many insights today through your sharing of that. Insights into love and punishment for one thing, but also into a marriage dynamic, and you know, unraveling what actually conspired there. You know, I was married for 34 years, for heaven's sakes. And it's like there's in that amount of time, there's a lot of entanglement around a lot of these issues. So, I mean, you know, I've got some real clarity today. Very valuable experience here in our group today.
Jesse, I have a question. The 6-year-old you were talking about, would he like to integrate into the adult that you are? And the 16-year-old that's rebellious, would they like to integrate into the adult you are today?
Into the new adult, yes.
Can you do a process, Mona?
I'm thinking about that. I'm more curious about where the other personalities that are showing up that are wanting to continue the cycle. Because that cycle is not just it's like a shoe that drops. It's like somebody can go for so long. And I know this because when I was working even when I was married, it seemed like everything would be peaceful for a while. And then every so often, the other shoe would drop and things would just happen. And that can be a chemical hit too. It's like the body kind of craves that a little bit because it's used to that pattern. Some of it is will, some of it is just what the body is needing to.
Because it doesn't know that it can do it different yet.
Exactly. But from what I understand, from what Jesse has said, he has learned to extend a little bit at a time to stave off the shoe dropping. And he's been able to extend it a little bit longer and a little bit longer. So he's had progress with both of these children. Because as an adult, nobody wants to be told what to do because they're grown. And that kind of starts out very strongly when you're really trying to individuate as a teenager, not just a child. So I see where Jesse's had progress in dealing with both of these personalities. I also see the desire to have much more peace in his life because he can see from her perspective what's going on and how she's feeling, and that's huge because usually when these things are happening, somebody can't always see the other person's side because they got the rebellious teenager saying, I don't care. So he's done a lot of growth.
And a lot more to do. It's not peaches and cream from this point forward. It's just different. Another layer has been peeled back, removed, so that another one can be revealed. Another lesson, another experience can be learned. And yes, I do want to integrate, align all aspects. To a connected, intimate, open, loving family. spouse and marriage.
Is there a true choice to be made at this point?
I choose to be a trusting spouse. Trusted spouse.
And what will that give you, Jess?
I choose a deeply connected relationship.
Mm.
Deeply connected, intimate, truthful relationship. Deeply connected, truthful relationship. That'll give me joy, and peace,
Mm.
and power and passion.
Mm.
If it's okay with Jesse and the rest of y'all, I would like to do a process with Jesse. I'd like to do the timeline, if it's okay. If Jesse would like to do this on personal time, that would be great. If he wants to do that now, that would be great too.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it now. And for those that they can choose to stay around, support, or be free to go. Thank you.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, whenever we are helping each other, it actually helps all of us.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
May I please add something to this, Mona, as a suggestion?
Yes.
When I had my timeline done, Jesse was there as my support person on the side. Can we ask Allison to be that support person for him, letting him know that he's safe
Not a problem.
along the way? Allison, are you okay with that?
I am. I've got time this morning. Thank you.
Okay. And Jesse, I'm just going to be here in spirit with my mic muted as your support person on the side as you were with me.
Excellent.
Okay, Jesse. I would like to cover the 3 major events that surround this issue. I would like to do 2 that have been current and 1 from the past. So if you would just take a really deep breath